What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Blood on the Razor Wire TV, where we bring it to you real and we bring it to you raw. If you haven't already, you might want to hit that subscribe button because we promise to never disappoint you. Hit that like button because you know the video is going to be good. And make sure you leave a comment. This is probably one that a bunch of people leave a comment on, right? Some good, some bad, some hateful, some angry, some sad. It is what it is. You know, big news yesterday. 3 people, you probably knew this was coming. It just took a long time, right? That people are like, damn, man, they indicted them dudes for the Whitey Bulger murder. 4 years later? That's what the feds do. Because they know you're already in prison. They got all the time in the world to build up their case, collect their evidence, and put things together, and then come over and hit you upside the head with a hammer. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to talk about everything that happened with Whitey Bulger. Some of you might have, heard some of my other videos where I talk about Whitey, where I used to go to rec with Whitey every day. He'd be in a rec cage. I'm in another rec cage. He was in cell alone, rec alone, after he had got stabbed. Prior to this, he had been stabbed too with a pencil. The guy from Boston had stabbed him, had a drug debt, wanted to get off the yard. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to stab old Whitey Bulger. I'm going to get off the yard over here. I had been in the hole at that time probably for about 9-10 months over a bullshit investigation, something that the Bureau of Prisons does sometimes. They'll throw you down there in the hole. They'll leave you down there, lock you up, and you know how that old saying is, throw away the key, right? I think I spent 14 months down there in the hole. And during that time, I would talk to Whitey, man. He'd come out the rec. And I've told people plenty of times, like, I wasn't fascinated by dudes in prison. So what? You're in federal prison just like I am. You can spend $360 a month just like I can. But Whitey Bulger was someone that I was a little bit, I hate to say it, but I guess I was a little bit fascinated with his story. You know, I'm Irish, he's Irish. You know, make no mistakes about it. He did the things that he did, but he was also a gangster, right? He was definitely a dude that would, kill with no remorse. And that's why some people will say, live by the sword, die by the sword. But Whitey was an interesting character. He told me about his times in other prisons, Alcatraz. But I really focused on how he stayed, gone for so long, how he was able to evade authorities for so long. I wanted to know. Because don't think for a minute in my mind, I didn't used to think like, damn, man, there's only one way out of here. There were days that I was faced with that. Had a 40-year sentence, so I'm like, damn, man, how the hell am I ever going to get out of this place? And if I do get out, how am I going to stay gone, right? But Whitey, he enlightened me on a lot of stuff, and I listened to his stories, and I think I might have told you guys one time he yelled at me, told me to shut up when I'm talking to you. And he doesn't look like the way he looks on that thumbnail when I ran into Whitey. When I ran into Whitey, he was beat up, man. He was old, but there was something in his eyes. When you look in the eyes of a killer, you can tell that they're a killer, man. And I seen it in his eyes. I seen it in the eyes of Steve Cashapp, the mafia cop. These are the two dudes where you can look into their eyes and be like, wow, man. Where you can see, like, just, I don't know. It's just a different feeling when you look at a dude and it's like you can see right through them. You can see death in their eyes. And I knew that he was a dangerous dude. But let's get into the story, and then we're going to discuss it after. We're going to talk about why people kill people in federal prison, why people like McKinnon got involved in this nonsense, why people like Paulie Colagero got involved in this when he had a release date. Man, his release date was in 2026. The other cat, he just got released. He knew he had a release date in 2022. He's out on the street, kid from Vermont. But we're going to talk about why these dudes kill and why they get involved with, people like our boy, Freddie. We'll talk about Freddie G. All right, let's get into it. It took 4 years, but federal prosecutors finally swung the gavel and indicted 3 men with the murder of the infamous Irish mob boss, Whitey Bulger. Freddie G's, Paul D. Colagero, and Sean McKinnon have all been charged with leaving Whitey's blood on the razor wire in a lonely prison somewhere in the mountains of West Virginia. Some of us prisoners call USP Hazelton Misery Mountain. This is a prison plagued with violence, anger, and in many cases, murder. In April 2018, Bulger became the 3rd victim that year to take his last breath at the prison. Before him, 48-year-old Ian Thorne was killed during an altercation with a fellow prisoner. And Demario Porter was also killed in another fight with a fellow inmate. In 2016, an inmate was charged with murder after prosecutors said he strangled another prisoner to death during a fight inside their cell. This was his cellmate. In February 2015, an inmate stabbed a fellow prisoner with a handcrafted weapon during a fight, according to court documents. Another prisoner received an extended sentence in May for assaulting a fellow prisoner and possessing a deadly weapon. In 2012, Anthony Morris Dallas, 31, was stabbed over 50 times and left his blood on the razor wire at this place of desperation. After 6 years, prisoners Ruben Laurel, 41, now at U.S. Penitentiary Tucson in Arizona, and Michael Owl, 31, now at the ADX, were charged with his murder. Just recently, both took a plea agreement. They copped out in exchange for the death penalty to be removed. The result, 25 more years in federal prison. Laurel of San Antonio has been serving a lengthy sentence. He was originally sentenced to 294 months for being part of a cocaine distribution conspiracy in Tennessee that involved more than 5 kilograms of cocaine. But this wasn't his first trouble, this murder. He had gotten in trouble behind bars for committing assault with a serious injury. He had previously stabbed somebody and had more time added to his sentence. In that case, the victim did not die, but he left the yard leaking. He's been convicted of possessing weapons on numerous occasions, using drugs, getting drunk on alcohol, prison-made hooch, destroying property. His scheduled release date was June 9th, 2027. Not no more. Owls, his partner in crime. His crimes included robbery by force or violence, using and carrying and discharging a firearm, violation of 18 U.S.C. 924C on May 26, 2008, on the eastern band of the Cherokee Indian Reservation in North Carolina. He too had a release date, September 17, 2032. He could see the end of his bid. Not any longer. But this is life here in USP Hazelton, a land of desperation, hatred, and violence, on a scale, as I've said before about Big Sandy, that would make purgatory look like child's play. Murder is the name of the game on Misery Mountain. It always has been. And don't believe the hype. It likely will never stop. There are a multitude of federal prisons that don't have a homicide rate like that, said Cameron Lindsay, a former federal prison warden who now works as a jail security consultant. As most of you know, Bulger led a largely Irish mob that ran loan sharking, gambling, and drug rackets. He was also an FBI informant who ratted on the New England mob, his gang's main rival, in an era when bringing down the mafia was a top priority for the FBI. The 89-year-old Bulger, who benefited from a corrupt relationship with the FBI before spending 16 years on the lam, now found his life extinguished like a small gas fire. A federal law enforcement official told the Associated Press that Bulger had been transferred to the prison where he was killed because he had disciplinary problems at a Florida prison where he had been serving a life sentence. The official has been briefed on the investigation into Bulger's killing and insisted on anonymity because he was not authorized to release details. What I don't understand is why the Federal Bureau of Prisons would transfer a super high publicity inmate who is known as a snitch to general population of a high security prison. You've got to be smarter than that, Lindsay, the former warden said. But who are his killers? Who are these killers behind the names? Freddie G's is a 55-year-old gangster involved with the New York-based Genovese crime family. G's was accused of serving as the getaway driver in a botched assassination attempt against Frank D'Abato, the president of the Bronx Cement Union, in 2009. Freddie G's was in prison on charges that he killed Gary D. Westerman and Adolfo Big Al Bruno, the head of the Springfield mob. In 2003, he allegedly murdered the two in Agawam by shooting them in the head, then beating them with a shovel and burying them there. It is believed that Freddie G's was married and he has a daughter named Taylor G's. However, the identity of his wife hasn't been revealed in public. In an article for Mass Live and The Republican in 2016, Taylor penned her opinion regarding her dad's case. Taylor recalled having the misconception that her dad was always in the Army and that she never saw him. Until she was in 8th grade, she was unaware of the truth. His daughter shared she discovered the reality when she started reading news articles with my dad's name in the headlines with the words like heist, murder, enforcer, and criminal. Taylor also remarked, if we look at this scenario through the eyes of the system, you could say justice was achieved. But if you look at this scenario through daughter's eyes, it was the most unfair. Freddie G's belongs to a Greek family. He was born in Springfield, Mass. On April 4th, 1967. He has a brother named Ty G's, and they were associated with gangster Anthony Aralata. Anthony officially joined the Genovese criminal gang in 2003. He had asked the G's brothers to marry Gary Westerman, his brother-in-law. In Western Massachusetts, G's and his younger brother Ty had a fearsome reputation. In 2011, the two were found guilty of murder and racketeering alongside late Genovese crime family mob boss Arthur Negro. Sean McKinnon went to prison as a young man, drug addict from Vermont. He was initially spending time in prison for weapon theft. McKinnon was found guilty of stealing 12 firearms from R&L Archery in Barrie and exchanging them for heroin. In January 2016, he was sentenced to 8 years in jail. He walked out of the federal penitentiary in July 2012, less than 30 days ago. He relocated to Florida, where he was out enjoying the Florida sun. The sun on his back, the wind in his hair, but he always knew that the Whitey Bulger murder was always blowing in the wind. Was he the man that held the door closed as some prisoners do when others go in a cell to destroy someone? I know one thing. He is now facing a murder conspiracy and lying to federal agents. Paul J. DiCollegiero, a Massachusetts North Shore gang member. He too was at the tail end of his 25 years in prison for racketeering. Perhaps he imagined the sun, the Florida sun, or being out on the shore in Massachusetts. Perhaps he imagined being out on the Cape, that cool wind blowing off the water. But not no more. Not no more. He was also involved in the 1996 conspiracy, which ended up with the murder of a 19-year-old girl. In addition, Paul served for a criminal gang, the DiCollegiero crew, on the Massachusetts North Shore, which his uncle led. What else has he done? He was also found guilty of buying heroin to use to kill the same teenager. But the drug did not take her life. As a result, another gang member broke her neck and buried her remains in the woods after dismembering her. She was ordered to be killed by Paul's uncle as he feared she would snitch on them and coordinate with the police. His release date? August 14th, 2026. Not anymore. And there you have it, folks. USP Hazelton. There's so many more murders, so many more stabbings I could tell you occurred there. In 2009, there was a big riot over there. In 2008, where a couple white dudes were fighting the ABs, the independents. My boy Pike ended up getting stabbed over that. AB Pooch got hit in the face by a rock by one of the SAC dudes. Vicious, vicious prison. There's too many to name. But there's so many people that have lost their lives there. Not just, their blood left on the razor wire, but there's so many people that have been there that have committed these acts where you're getting ready to go home, man. 2026 is your release date. Why do you kill? We'll get into that in a second. Why do these people kill inside federal prisons? We're definitely getting into that. But why was Whitey Bulger sent there, right? Why was he sent there to die? Or was he sent there to die? Of course he was. The Bureau of Prisons takes things serious. Sometimes they take things personal. They always want to get back. It's like a place of revenge. Not all staff members and cops are like that, but a lot of them are. They have this atmosphere there where it's like, you're a prisoner, you're a piece of shit, we don't give a shit about you. You're here, we're going to smash you, we're going to punish you, we're going to do everything we can because you're just dirt. You're the dirt of the earth. We're going to treat you worse than a dog in a third world country. And they really do treat people like that. Not everyone, but there's a lot of them that do. So Whitey disrespected them, right? He's kicking it with the psych over there. It always happens like that, right? The psych, you're always like, damn, man, the psych's like a weird chick, right? In every prison I've been to, the psych is a weird chick. So he's kicking it with the psych over there, whatever. They're like, you know what? We got something for you. They put him in the hole. He didn't just get handcuffed and we're going to send you over to Hazelton today. 12 hours later, he's there. He was sitting in the hole. It's miserable down there. He had been in the hole in Tucson already. They cuff him up. They put him on the bus. He gets to USP Hazelton. They call him in a room. Bulger, come with me. They sit him down. The captain's in there or the lieutenant. And they're like, look, man, you want to go out here on the yard? Usually they ask you, what's going on? What's your record like? Are you good with your people? And you answer them, yeah, I'm good, whatever. Okay, great. You're going to go out here. They did that with me. First prison told me, hey, man, my best advice is go get a knife. It's a dangerous place. Get a knife, man. And don't get any tattoos on your face just in case you ever get out of prison. It'll hurt you. So I'm sure when they get Whitey Bulger over there, they're like, you know what, man, we're just sending this cat out there, man. Was it out of laziness? Was it because, man, we don't give a shit? It's Whitey Bulger. Let him make the decision. And, they kind of let you make a decision when you get there because they ask you questions. And they're like, yo, you want to go out here? Whitey Bulger's probably like, hell yeah, I'm going out there. Maybe he didn't understand the magnitude or where he was really at. Maybe he didn't understand that Misery Mountain was a home of murder and mayhem. Maybe he didn't realize it. Or maybe he just didn't give a shit. Maybe he was at the end where he's like, man, I don't care. And when I used to talk to Whitey, he spent plenty of time telling me how he didn't cooperate, that this stuff was all made up. He had told me if he had the chance, he would have clipped the dude, man, from the Boston Globe that was writing all the articles. He kind of denied that the FBI guy was his buddy. He had all these stories, and he believed these stories. He told himself these stories so many times that he believed them. He probably thought he can go out on the yard in Hazelton and tell the people, like, hey, man, this stuff ain't true. His lawyer came out in a some kind of documentary that they got saying that, he didn't cooperate or whatever. Whatever the case may be, the staff members knew who Whitey Bulger was, and they decided to let him go out on the yard. He wasn't there 12 hours. Doors crack. They hit him in the back. There's always a place where the camera can't see, right? We've heard from some people on Blood on the Razor Wire, other channels have talked to people. He's over there in the cut, man. And that's where he's going to lose his life. That cell could become a mausoleum. That little space back there in the back of the unit, like that little box where the cell's over here, and there's another cell over here. No one can see. No one can do anything. And these dudes viciously beat this cat, right? Collegiero, are you serious, bro? You came to prison a young man. How old were you when you came to prison, man? 27? Now you're about to get out of jail. And now you're probably never getting out of jail. We'll get into that in a minute. These dudes are getting... You think they're not going to push for the death penalty for Freddie G's? I promise you, the death penalty is on the table. Do you think Freddie gives a shit? Hell no. That's part of his legacy, man. Part of that mafia tough guy shit that he was involved in, right? Dude was a killer, man. We've had people come on here and talk about, what he was like in prison. And, don't get it mistaken. Just because some guys, and I'm not saying he was or he wasn't, but even if he was getting high in prison, he's still a gangster. I've been around plenty of gangsters, man, that got high. Adam Oliveri used to get high, but he was a gangster. He was probably the toughest white dude at USP Big Sandy. Probably one of the top 3 toughest dudes in the whole prison. I'll give him that. He was a tough dude, man. He got high on a regular basis. So even if Freddie did get high, he was still a killer, man. And sometimes people get high to deal with their pain, their suffering. It takes them out of prison for the moment. For those of you that read my book, you remember, me talking about Red when he was in the cell getting high. It's just, that's how people deal with their time. These cats are, he's getting the death penalty. I promise you that. And because of the type of dude that he is, I think he'll probably take him to the box. I think he's going to go to trial. He goes to trial, he's going to get the death penalty. They're going to make an example out of this dude. Because the Federal Bureau of Prisons used to hide a lot of stuff, right? The murders, people weren't really concerned. No high-profile people were getting killed. No one really cared. Another murder. It's not out there in, the public. It's not out there in the national media. But when Whitey Bulger gets killed, of course it's in the national media. His brother was somebody. Whitey Bulger, regardless of what people want to say, he was somebody. He's the most famous Irish gangster. No matter what else he's done, he was one of the most famous Irish gangsters in the world, maybe, probably. So when he gets killed, everybody's focused. And what happens? They get back there and they hammered him. They hammered him. They took his life. 89-year-old man, like, yo, we're about to destroy you, bro. This is street justice. This is the criminal underworld, man. I'm a mafia hitman. You're from Boston. You're from Mass. I'm about to smash you. I'm about to put this on my resume. And then you have to think, why does a guy like Paulie and McKinnon get involved, right? McKinnon, a little bit of time, you're going home soon. Paulie, done all this time, why do you get involved? Let's talk about Paulie first. Why does Paulie get involved? Because, man, he's part of the top brass of the car, man. I'm the man, bro. I'm right here with Freddie G, man. Oh, yeah, we're about to get this dude, man. What he did, man, we're going to kill him, man. Or maybe they thought he was going to go in there and beat the shit out of him. But, I mean, if you beat up an 89-year-old man, he's probably going to die, man. I mean, how much could he possibly take? So Paulie wanted to be that dude, man. I'm that dude, man. I'm living this prison life. All that shit you see in movies, that's who Freddie was. He was the shot caller. He was the boss. He was the guy that them cats looked up to. Man, I'm doing whatever Freddie says. McKinnon, what did he do? Probably the lookout. You always got to look out, man. You're going to go over here and do this, man. Hold the door. A lot of times we'll get dudes in federal prison like, yo, we're about to get this dude, man. Hold the door. I talk about that in my book. I've talked about it on videos where, I've been in that situation. And thank God, man, we didn't kill nobody because I wouldn't be here right now. But you hold the door. When you're holding the door, dude can't get out. You're in there with dude until dude they feel like stopping. That's it. And a lot of times these dudes don't have enough sense up here to be like, yo, man, that's it, bro. He's had enough. It's over. Some guys do, but not many. They'll just keep going until you're unconscious, until you're gone. You've seen that in, the SAG video that we did. Killer Chronicles did the SAG video. They're stabbing their boys like, yo, man, that's it, man. It's enough, man. They're like, nah, bro. I seen that in USP Lead. Dude said, hey, man, I'm going to die, man. Don't kill me. I said, nah, it's too late for that. So now these two dudes, man, their lives are probably hit. What's Paulie going to do? Paulie's going to do whatever Freddie does. What's McKinnon going to do? He tasted freedom. He's a drug addict from Vermont. Hopefully he's clean, right? Hopefully he got his life together. Hopefully he stopped using dope. But what's he going to do? That remains to be seen, right? They're going to offer him a deal. You know that's coming. Look, bro, you were just on the street. You want to spend the rest of your life in prison for Freddie? This is what the FBI is telling him. What's up? You've seen everything. We got no camera, but we got you. What are you going to do? You want to go back to Florida? They might offer him a sweetheart deal. Might give him another 8-year sentence. What do you think he's going to do? Only time will tell, man. USP Hazelton, Misery Mountain, Blood on the Razor Wire TV. I hope you enjoyed it. Share it with respect. This is why people kill in prison, because they're followers. With respect, Blood on the Razor Wire. Until tomorrow, we're out.